Steven, I've been thinking about game one.
Yes, me also.
And here's the thing.
Hi!
Victory puppy!
Land the parade!
I have no idea what I'm doing.
God to the riches only!
This team is ruining my life!
Victory puppies, boys! Good dogs with good picks! That's one! That's one! It was 4-1! Leafs win! 4-1 over the Boston Bruins, taking game one of their first round series. Now, in spite of the wonderful hockey game you watch with your own eyes, you're gonna read a lot of things. This happened, that happened, this shouldn't have happened, this should have happened. And there's all these little things about the intricacies of the game, but the easiest pail of cold water to throw in the situation is, it's one game. And it is just one game. Heck, Bruins fans know that as well as anyone. After beating the Leafs in the first round last year, they walked into their second round series against Tampa, in Tampa, and won 6-2 in the first game. And that was the last game that they won. You don't play 82 games just to be satisfied with winning game 83. It is indeed just one game. The Leafs gotta win 15 more if they want to win the Stanley Cup, and forget all that. They gotta win 3 more to beat the Boston Bruins. All that being said, yeah! Oh, does that feel good? Down the stretch, the Leafs looked so bad, but there were a couple factors. One, Gardner was out, Dermott was out, guys were sick. Every team goes through that. But two, they had at least 2, maybe 3 wicked games that made me look at the rest of them going, are they playing possum? What is this? And it's not just because they won. The Leafs that showed up for game one of this series looked an awful lot like the Leafs who played fantastic games down the stretch. Their feet moving, their passes precise, their sticks merciless, their stars playing like stars, their depth guys key contributors. Freddie on it. The playoffs are a long 2-month journey, and that was just one game, but if you play like that every night, you have as good a shot as any. So, let's talk about the game. All day long yesterday, I knew it was game one of the playoffs, but it wasn't until I turned on the game, it wasn't until like 5 minutes before I started to get nervous. They're doing the anthems, they're showing the atmosphere in the Garden, and it's rocking. Something felt different. Some of you might not relate to this. I don't love roller coasters. For my fellow friends who are nervous on them, what is the worst part of a roller coaster? Waiting in line. When you're on the roller coaster, it's terrified. Your body is just flooded with adrenaline. But at least there are the visuals and all the senses that go with adrenaline. Wow, we're going really fast. Holy smokes, this is so high. All my mammal senses think I should be dying. But when you're standing in line, you have all that adrenaline still, but you're just standing there. You spend all your time in line being terrified of the actual ride that you actually get relieved when you get on the ride. To me, that was the beginning of game one. The game starts and, hey, alright. Leafs don't look totally out of place. Bruins chance. Oh, okay, going back the other way. Leafs chance. Leafs taking a couple hard bumps. Okay, it's the playoffs. Leafs dishing some hard bumps, and oh, was that Connor Brown? Woo! For a team that has had such awful, consistently awful starts throughout the past 3 years, the Leafs came ready to play. Until William Nylander, I don't know if there was a miscommunication, but he went into the Bruin zone with the puck, seemingly thinking he had help. It was a line change, and he very did not have help. He was in there alone. It was probably because of that split seconds hesitation that he got rocked. Bruins get the puck as Nylander tries to get it back, an errant stick. I don't think it was intentional at all, but it was a high stick to the face. And the Bruins go to the power play. And I'm just like, game one in Boston, nice and early on, the Bruins get a power play, and it's William Nylander in the box? Well, this certainly has all the makings of a bad time. On that power play, Brad Marchand with a masterclass. Bursts into the Leaf zone with speed. He's got 2 guys on him, but he loops back around and sends it to the point, but he's already got the Leafs scrambling a bit. With the puck at the point, Krug draws in Connor Brown, opening up space for Marchand, pass back to Marchand. Marchand is allowed to come in, fakes the shot, pass to a wide open, guess who? Why does it always have to be Bergeron? And the Bruins are up 1-0. I got a little annoyed with Kasperi Kapanen on this goal. Full credit to Brad Marchand and Torrey Krug for sort of setting up the play there. Kapanen's job is the slot, and he does try to cut off the pass with his stick. But if you take Bergeron a little harder, you probably take out a scoring chance. Now, the Bruins aren't stupid. That means you pass to a wide open point and they get a shot off. But would you rather be facing a shot from the point, and let's be honest, it's a power play, probably don't even take that shot and they pass it off? Or do you prefer to take out a tap-in for Patrice Bergeron that he's not gonna miss? Realistically, it's not anyone's fault. It was Brad Marchand doing his job. That's what the power play is, isn't it? The Bruins have an advantage. They have more guys than the Leafs. The second you get one guy to bite, and that guy was Connor Brown, they're done. So naturally, I don't know if you know this, the game is over! Don't even bother playing the rest of it! I'm taking my popcorn maker and going home! But a few minutes later, the darndest thing happened. The Tavares, Marner, Hyman line faces off against the Bruins top line, that three-headed monster of Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. Scrambled face-off, Tavares retrieves it. He shanks it to the point, Muzzin blasts it! Oh! No! Yeah! Allow me to offer a translation. Muzzin blasts it, I think it tipped off of something, hits the post, Marner, slap shot, hits the post, and then a scramble, and it goes in. I thought it was Hyman's goal at first watching the replay. I'm pretty sure Marner took the shot, it hit the post, and then it went in off of Chara, who, by the way, was like standing on top of Tuukka Rask. And I'm like watching the replay with bated breath, like, oh my goodness, if Zach Hyman pushed him on top of Rask, that's goalie interference. But what gave me pause right away was, well, if Tuukka Rask thought it was goalie interference, you would know. No one's ever accused Tuukka Rask of being calm. He's like the least Finnish goalie ever. If Tuukka Rask was in Mario Kart, there would be no shells, only milk crates. And he didn't even have a protest. The goal as of this morning, Mitch Marner from Jake Muzzin and John Tavares. John Tavares should get 2 assists on that. And Marner with a spectacular game, but the Tavares, Marner, Hyman line as a unit was the difference. And it was a little nerve-wracking, man. Right off the opening face-off, Babcock was like, I'm going with that line against the Bruins top line, and I'm going with Muzzin and Zaitsev out there. And I'm like, dude. And if they can shut the top line down, for sure, that's a huge advantage for the Leafs. But there have been a couple moments throughout the season where I'm like, like the Bruins did well against the Leafs this season, but like who remembers the Colorado game where it's like, all right, your job is to shut down McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen, and they got their show Rantanen. But look at this thing of beauty. Leaf playoff debut for John Tavares. 1 goal, 1 assist, 6 shots, 62% on the draw, including 9 of 17 versus Bergeron, 58% adjusted possession, primarily with Bergeron matchup. It is an extraordinarily tall ask, but if that line and that D pair can shut down this line, the Leafs have a shot. And at the end of the first period, I'm like, all right, it's tied 1-1. The Bruins got a power play, and they scored on it. The Leafs didn't even get a power play. And despite all that, the Leafs outshot the Bruins 10-8. As far as first periods go, I'm not mad. 2 minutes into the second period, Kasperi Kapanen takes a high stick pass. All right, now I'm mad. You have such a good first. You score late in the first. You tie the thing up. It's a great period, and you kill it with that. And you're a penalty killer to boot, Cappy. Funny little thing there. Everyone's looking for blood on Jake DeBrusk's face, and there wasn't any. But he did have a busted tooth, and he's like, well, I know there's no blood, but look at my face. It was a 2-minute minor and not a 4-minute double minor, and the Bruins, they might have a beef with that. There was another hit in this game. It was Kadri on DeBrusk that I saw some Bruins fans calling a slew foot, which it was very not. So now feels like as good a time as any to address something. It is widely acknowledged and accepted that NHL playoff hockey is different from regular season hockey. It's like that in all sports, isn't it? I don't know about soccer or football, but like in the NBA playoffs, they definitely let more stuff go. And in some ways, it's more entertaining that way. It's definitely more vicious, but you gotta admit, philosophically, it is stupid that you play an 82-game regular season only to have the rules literally change during the playoffs. Like, okay, this is gonna blow some European minds right now, but I'm pretty sure in Canada and all of North America, unless it says you're not allowed to, you're allowed to turn right on a red light. Oh, you gotta look and make sure there's no cars coming first, but if the coast is clear, you're allowed. Now, in all the different things and decisions you have to make throughout the course of a road trip, it might not make the hugest difference, but imagine if one day they were just like, by the way, that's not allowed anymore. Or I guess a better comparison would be for our British friends or whatever. Imagine if one day that was just magically allowed. It doesn't change everything, but it changes everything. As soon as the Stanley Cup playoffs begin, little hooks and slashes they're a little bit more lenient with. Hits you're allowed to have just a split second later to finish your check. And holding, you gotta be holding on to the guy like you're going for a tandem skydive. So was I shocked that the Leafs only got 2 instead of 4 on that play during a time of year where murder is practically legal? No! And Bruins fans, I like to think that you and I have a very good rapport. I mean, how could you not like me? Your team always beats mine, and you've gotten to watch me freak out for over half a decade. But in the whole conversation, something was brought up. Your Leafs bias is showing. Listen, I'm not sure what gave you that impression, but yes, I'm willing to admit I probably have at least a little bit of Leafs bias. If, as a Bruins fan, you're willing to admit that you have a little bit of Bruins bias. So there's me and there's you, but you know one thing I have on you that you've never experienced as a Bruins fan? You have never watched your team play against the Boston Bruins. Listen, it's nothing against you, it's just against your team. And there's something about someone who cheers for the Bruins going, hey, you can't do that makes eyes around the league roll like the boulder in Indiana Jones. If there is any team that has gotten the benefit of the doubt from officiating, especially in the playoffs over the last 8 or so years, it's been the Boston Bruins. That was a slowfoot. You guys have Brad Marchand. To which you respond, you guys have Nazem Kadri. Ah, so we do understand each other then. Stuff was getting let go all night from both teams. I'll get to the Chara call again a little bit later, but they're only going to call the blatant stuff, it seems. Willie hit someone in the face with a stick. You have to call that. Kapanen hit someone in the face with a stick. You have to call that. And Chara, this one's very important. Chara, had a play that affected possession. One thing I've noticed from NHL officiating, especially over the past couple years, they're willing to let stuff go, but if it affects who has the puck, they're gonna call it. Yada, yada, yada. Getting back to the game, the Bruins have a power play. Less than 30 seconds into the Bruins power play, here we go. They scored so early in the first one. Marner steals it. He's on a breakaway. Here we go. No! Yeah, wait, what? Marner is hauled down on the breakaway, and they point to center ice. It's a penalty shot. But even that I was salty about in the moment, because I'm like, isn't the puck in? Oh, I thought it was in, man. I need a few more replay. Oh, wait, no, they can't show the replay because there's a penalty shot right now. All I know is, thank goodness what happened on this penalty shot happened. Otherwise, I would have been even more salty. On the penalty shot, Mitch Marner coming in with that right-hand shot a little bit on the left-hand side. Makes a little forehand, backhand move, freezes Rask in his track, and with the handles, Marner buries it. We're gonna need a bigger jar. Mitch Marner makes it 2-1 Leafs. Leaf fans, Bruins fans, anyone else who happens to be watching this video, there's a link in the description down below. TheMarnerJar.com, check it out. A brief backstory, earlier in the season, Marner was on some kind of a heater. I think that was basically the entire season. And people kept complaining about the heater, saying, oh my goodness, his contract is going to be so expensive. And my argument was, what do you want him to do? Be bad? It's good that he's good. And I jokingly suggested that every time Marner does something awesome and you complain about it, you got to put money in the Marner jar. An awesome viewer named Ross Chambers literally just went online and made theMarnerJar.com and came up with the idea that all the money that you actually donate to the Marner jar goes to Sick Kids Hospital. Right now, the Marner jar is over $7,000. Do you think we can get that to over $8,000 before the beginning of Game 2? I'd really like to get that to over $10,000 by the end of the series. Shout out to the girls at the St. Catherine's book signing who actually gave me this beautiful jar. It's well crafted. It's got foam. Sorry, no, it's sparkly paper. It's sparkly. It's the same color as the cup. And if it felt rare that Mitch Marner scored a shorthanded penalty shot, that's because it was. Mitch Marner became just the 5th NHL player to score a shorthanded penalty shot goal in the postseason, behind Daniel Cleary, Neil Broughton, Peter Klima, and some bum named Wayne Gretzky. And the last guy to do it was Daniel Cleary for the Detroit Red Wings back in the 2007 playoffs. I didn't start my videos until the next season. So that was the first shorthanded penalty shot goal in the playoffs since I started making videos. I've been doing videos for 12 years. That's the key to the Leafs, man. Speed. They got speed on that penalty kill. Zach Hyman's not the fastest, but he's not slow either, and he's great at finding open ice. Connor Brown, underratedly fast. Mitch Marner, speed demon. Kasperi Kapanen, speed demon. And geez, he was in the box. But it didn't matter. Marner scored. The Leafs kill the penalty off, and we go back to even strength with the Leafs having the lead. Although it was a little bit of a harrowing period. After a great first, Boston really came on in the second. The Leafs got 14 shots in the second. That's good, and it's better than they did in the first. The only problem is Boston had 21! That is about as spectacular a period as Boston could have hoped for, but Freddie stopped all 21. And in between Boston fire drills in the Leaf zone, the Leafs did get some chances. And with less than 2 minutes to go in the second, Nazem Kadri sees this 1-on-4 situation and goes, I see a scoring chance. Nazem Kadri with a UFO pass, flying saucer, telling Willie, UFO! Breakaway, in on Rask, turns him into a pretzel, snipe, 5-hole goal! 3 Willie! And the Leafs head into second intermission with a 3-1. No, John, no! John Tavares very nearly makes it 4-1, and boy, am I scarred. Only in hockey can you look at your team about to score and go, it's best if you don't, actually. Don't ask why, because reasons. I've seen some stuff. And Austin Matthews almost scored before the, oh god, dude, okay. Leafs head into the third with a 3-1 lead, which suits me just fine. And it's so funny. I don't know if you've seen Twitter. Bruins Twitter is in full meltdown this morning. And no, Tuukka Rask I didn't think played that well at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as a goalie, isn't a player shooting 5-hole on a breakaway like a godsend? I know it's a breakaway, but what was Rask doing on that one? But at the same time, this just feels like one of those games where save percentage doesn't quite do the story justice. And the 3 goals that were scored on Rask were fire drill, penalty shot that was caused by a breakaway, and a breakaway. Some of the stops Rask made on the Leafs were grade A chances. The Leafs did a spectacular job of finding open ice in this one, and Kadri Nylander, man. Here's my take on Babcock's lineup decision, okay? Because a lot of people were mad that right before the playoffs, after it seemed to work out so well, Babcock split up Nylander Matthews. I didn't say it that much in the videos because I also really like these two players, but Matthews between Johnsson and Kapanen should work. And when his wingers are on, when Johnsson and Kapanen play fantastic games, that line is wonderful, which is great news because even though Willie's in a decreased role there on that third line, he has some spectacular chemistry with Nas. If Johnsson and Kappy show up, that is the 3-line combo to go with, in my opinion, at least in this series. Well, Johnsson and Kappy, I thought, had great games, and it's amazing the ripple effect it has down the lineup. And geez, who had a bad game in this one? The fourth line was spectacular. Trevor Moore, in just 6 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time, was tied for the Leaf lead in hits with 4. All right, now all the Leafs got to do is defend a third period lead in TD Garden. And am I surprised? They did. The shots were 9-9 in the third. Freddie stopped all of them. Bruins empty the net early. Oh my god. Center ice, John Tavares grabs the puck. He's on his knees with a little move, gets back up, snipes. How much time's left in the game? All right, you're allowed to score that one, Johnny. And the Leafs win Game 1. And for me, this is the first time I have ever gotten to make a video about the Leafs winning Game 1 of a series. The last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won Game 1 of a Stanley Cup playoff series was 2003. I was in the 9th grade. The top 3 in the 2003 NHL entry draft were Marc-Andre Fleury, Eric Stahl, and Nathan Horton. So key. Such a key win. I'm so tired of the Leafs playing catch-up. Everyone talks about how the Leafs' last 2 series against the Bruins were 7 games. No one talks about how the Bruins almost won both of them in 5. The Bruins are a good team. Got it. TD Garden's a tough building to win it. Got it. There are 2 ways to get home ice advantage. Actually win the thing in the regular season or take it away on the road. Right now, heading into Game 2, the Leafs technically have home ice advantage in this series. Now, you know what's better than 1 win in Boston? 2 wins in Boston. In terms of criticisms for this game, I'm struggling to find them. The Leafs sometimes struggle with getting hemmed in their own zone. That's been true all season. First 5 minutes of the game, Zaitsev was driving me nuts. The guy can't exit the zone, but then he actually had a solid game otherwise, breaking up a 2-on-1 in the process too. That was great. And get this, Travis Dermott played under 13 minutes. Jake Gardiner, he's still managing his minutes, only played 16 and a half. Ron Hainsey, 22 and a half minutes. That gets me a little worried, but he had a great game, I thought. And Riley, 24 and a half minutes, the way it should be. Jake Muzzin looked great too. The plan of attack seems simple, but it involves the Leafs playing without fear. Attack Zdeno Chara. As Mike Babcock would say, he's 6'9". Every time he goes on the ice, he's got that wingspan like a condor. The strength is still there. He is not a pleasant man to play against, but Father Time is undefeated when it comes to feet. And you see the Leafs, they take a little bit of a breath, but even guys like Trevor Moore, who literally looks like a child, are like, you know what, let's do this. Leroy! Buzzing around him. More of that in Game 2. Questions. This is from a Bruins fan, I believe. Boston played catastrophically bad in Game 1, and it certainly felt more self-inflicted than anything. What do you expect from the Bruins in Game 2? It's weird. Wasn't the whole atmosphere off? TD Garden felt off. The Bruins didn't feel like the Bruins. What I've been saying for a while now is the Bruins feel like they're doing an impression of the Bruins. They're a faster, more skilled team than people give them credit for, but that whole big bad Bruins thing, It's not as true as it used to be. So what I expect from game 2, shenanigans. They're gonna try to get back to that, and it's gonna be mean. And another thing I expect from game 2, a much better performance from Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak. I didn't even notice Pasternak. Will the Leafs be able to handle noted goon David Backes returning to the lineup for game 2? Honestly, it might not be the worst decision for them. It was interesting hearing Bruce Cassidy heading into the series going, oh yeah, we're gonna go with our fastest lineup, because obviously the Leafs are fast. And part of me is like, yeah, that makes sense, but the other part of me is like, well, isn't this like a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing? In a way, the Leafs are scissors, and they cut their way through opponents, you see. This is the Bruins going more with rock. But if the adrenaline gets to him and he takes some stupid penalties, he is more than welcome to join the lineup. Is it okay to be happy about hockey now? Andrew, it is always okay to be happy about hockey. Happy? Fine. Content? No. Because the Stanley Cup playoffs are a war! Battles will be won and lost! They won the first one, now it's on to number 2, and I can't wait. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Hey, I got a book. I wrote a book. Ooh, the audiobook is out. The audiobook is finally out. If you're like, I don't like that whole reading thing, I want to listen. It's me narrating it. I'll put a link down below. Ooh, and if you provide ECW Press, that's my publisher, with proof of purchase, you get the audiobook for $7. It's on Audible and iTunes as well.